talking through how to write a concluding paragraph for a literary analysis essay. The conclusion is kind of a necessary evil. It has to be there. Without the conclusion, the reader's going through your essay and your body paragraph at the end of your essay ends and there's nothing there and they just kind of fall off a cliff with no wrap up at all. So you have to write a wrap up for your reader. The problem is that no matter how good your conclusion is, it's not going to bump your grade up really that much, maybe a couple points. But if it stinks or it's not there, it could bring your grade down significantly. So it really is one of those necessary evils that you just have to do it. So let's talk through, how do we write this conclusion? What do we need to do? Well, first of all, right down here, you can see there are some rules of thumb. A rule of thumb is a saying which means it's kind of a general principle that you should keep in mind, but there are some exceptions to the rule. So first of all, you're thinking at the end of your essay, 3 to 5 sentences is what your conclusion should be. No less, but probably not more than that. And that will run you about 50 to 100 words, and it should go from specific to general. So let's talk about what that means exactly. So you have your introduction, right? In an intro, you have, you go from general, a general idea, usually the theme, right? Then you might talk about introducing the book, the source material, and you make your way to the main thesis of the essay. Okay, whatever you might call that, major thesis, main thesis, like that. That kind of goes from general to specific. The conclusion is the opposite. It goes from specific to general. So we're going to go backwards, right? You're going to restate the thesis. In other words, what is this whole essay talked about? So let's say your thesis at the beginning of your essay was something like this. Atticus's words and actions teach Scout the value of courage and integrity in the midst of adversity. All right, so that was your main thesis. This is from, obviously, To Kill a Mockingbird, and this is a thematic essay talking about Atticus's character, who is the main character in the book. So that would be our MT from the intro, right? So what we want to do in this, right, is we want to take our MT and we want to kind of put it in a blender. You want to use some different vocabulary. You want to switch it up, all right? So you might do something like, all right, okay, through the trials he faces, Atticus is able to instill in his daughter the vital characteristics of bravery and being honest. Something like that, right? So we just blended it up. I switched up the sentence order and I restated it. The idea for this is you want to kind of think about your essay as a whole and go a little bit deeper than you might have gone in the introductory thesis, more reflective. All right, so that's specific. Now we get more general, right? Now I could kind of touch base about what I proved in the body paragraphs, perhaps, but what I want to do is kind of lead my reader out of this essay, all right? Things I don't want to do is I don't want to introduce new information. I don't want to say something or bring in something from the book that I haven't already talked about, all right? So no new topics, no new ideas, no new evidence, nothing like that, all right? We also don't want to get cheesy and be like, in life, you really gotta, things like that. You want to take what you said in your essay and lead your reader out of it, okay? So something like, what lessons are of value from the discussion of the essay? So these are kind of questions you can think of. Okay? What ideas should be left in the mind of the reader? How should we be challenged? All right, So here's the thing. You can see how this goes from specific to more general. These are just a few general questions you could really apply to pretty much any essay and help you flesh out your conclusion. What lessons are of value from the discussions in the essay? This helps you kind of look through your body paragraphs and figure out what should the reader take from this. Now, you don't want to say things like the reader should take, none of this talking about the reader to the reader. It just gets awkward. But you can communicate an answer to that without saying the lesson that is of value is, right? You just say what the lessons are and why they're valuable. What ideas should be left in the mind of the reader? Again, you're thinking about, okay, what should I walk away with after having read this essay about this book? How should we be challenged in our thinking? So these are great questions that help, leave the reader with something interesting to think about. All right, so this is the general idea of a literary analysis conclusion. You're going from specific repeating of the BT or the MT, the major thesis, and then you go through this expanding kind of more generalized reflection to lead your reader out of the paper. All right, so those are some suggestions and some tips. Hopefully these questions can work for you and you kind of get the idea here of what a conclusion needs to be. Hope that was helpful.